The first and most obvious thing that you might notice about my work is that it is done with very available utilitarian materials. Using value canvases, acrylics, craft paint, Sharpies, spiral notebooks, just very available objects that I can just find around my house, and that if I have to buy them, I just don't want to spend a lot of money on objects and materials when I want to make things at a high quantity and with a high amount of intuitiveness in them, very in the moment work. So I think another thing that I'd say about my work in terms of subject is that I think it can really just be tied back to kind of this medieval idea, this idea that of inherent religiosity, an idea of, kind of grubbiness, dirtiness, kind of looking out of a sheltered kind of high class world into perhaps a lower world, and then using animals to kind of critique or extrapolate on inherent flaws and virtues in what I see around me. And I think a lot of that just comes from the fact that I did grow up in kind of a repressed, normal WASP kind of upbringing where there is a strict sense of morality, there is a strict sense of, work, pride in your work, pride in, godliness, pride in perhaps even progressiveness in a way that I'm shucking against, or not bucking against, I should say. Just kind of moving out of, this frame of mind where things have to be thought over, you have to do your best, you have to make your best, and just kind of fighting against that. Really getting into what do I want to see in front of me right now and putting it down. And oftentimes that means that I forego composition, I forego kind of the fundamentals of art, and I kind of repeat, the centered composition just because impulsively that's what I want to see in front of me. I want to kind of, I guess in another sense, my art is just one big story. It's one big, narrative that I've had going on in my head since I've been a kid. And really, in that sense, making art comes from making a scene, making a character, and putting that in front of me. Not even necessarily that the scene looks good, but more so that the scene has everything that I want in it. However, I think that paradoxically I do care perhaps more about color than anything else. Color means a lot to me. I have, used very contrasting bright colors, I think not only to draw attention to the viewer, but also just to provide sort of a variety for myself. And I guess to go back to kind of the idea of the scene in my work, what I'm making is not so much something that I want others to see necessarily, but as I'm making the work, I am also observing it. And so I kind of want to make something that would intrigue me as well as others in a secondary sense. So, really, I think working from that sort of perhaps childish, but I wouldn't even say childish, more childlike frame of mind, my art just kind of speaks to this sort of integration of what I see around me and what I want to be in front of me, kind of making a better world, but also critiquing the darkness and showing the light of what I know is around me. So hopefully this talk is a good supplement to my artist statements, and I hope that you enjoy looking into the world that I've created. Thank you.